I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Today, we are very, very honored to be reviewing the new album from a band called Swans, entitled The Seer. Swans are a band formed in like the early 80s by a guy named Michael Gira, who, I mean, I would consider Michael Gira to be just a revolutionary, forward-thinking musician and artist for that matter. And The Seer is his 12th album, and the band's 12th album, and kind of has been self-described as 30 years worth of Swans music combined into one album.
Like the culmination of their career.
Right, and it makes sense because this is a 2-disc album, about 2 hours long, and just hauls, I wouldn't say it hauls ass, but it's more just like it's trying to creep you out and kill you the entire time. This is an extremely dark album.
Yeah.
Tom, what was your interpretation of what you heard on The Seer?
Something just bigger than music, even. Right. And to start with, we reviewed a couple years ago, My Father Will Guide Me Up a Rope to the Sky, when that came out, and we were blown away by it. We really liked it because it had this ability to almost give you an anxiety attack.
Yeah. I remember being terrified.
Yes, it's almost agitating. And to me, I just ate it up because I was like, how is he able to do this through just music? And here, I think that on The Seer, I think that the most it gets like that still isn't quite as potent as their previous release.
Right.
But I think it's so much more consistent. And I think that this album, it ties itself together, both in the album artwork, the titles, the music itself. Everything comes together to create this package deal, this experience that is The Seer, that is to me, a musical experience you absolutely cannot get anywhere else.
You can really hear a lot of different genres back in this, too. There's some more ambient times in some of the longer tracks. By the way, there's 11 total tracks amongst the 2 discs, one of which on disc 1 is about 32 minutes long, and track 2, the album 2 or side 2, the album closes with 2 20-minute-ish tracks. I mean, this album is just huge in size, but really one of the most impressive things to me, Tom, is that it never really felt too long. It never really felt overindulgent, and I would say that it's long, and that just in and of itself makes it kind of inaccessible. It's hard to listen to the whole thing just because who has 2 hours to sit down and listen to music, right?
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, the average pop music listener would never like this. Right. You really have to be looking for something very specific. You have to be looking for an album that will absolutely take you away. For me, when I'm listening to this, I feel like I was dropped in the middle of a forest on a full moon night witnessing some cult ritual.
Right.
That's what I feel like. And it scares me and puts me in that setting even more than any movie could.
Right.
I wish they would make a movie to this.
Right.
Like visuals along with it, because that would scare the shit out of me in the best way.
Yeah. Sadly, I've seen many movies that aren't as long as this.
Yeah, but they don't accomplish as much.
Absolutely.
That's what's funny about it. I mean, so it's funny because when I listen to this, it's not something that I'm going to come back to all the time. As I said, it's a very specific mood. It's something that it just has to be the perfect time to listen to The Seer in order to listen to it and appreciate it. But at the same time, I'm going to give this a higher score than albums that I'll probably come back to more often, just based on the fact that he can accomplish this solely with his music. I mean, and it's really nothing even too complicated. I mean, he just does it perfect. He has this perfect balance. The percussion is going nuts a lot of the time. There's some great snare drum. There's some very real drum sounds. Sometimes there's a lot of auxiliary percussion, and sometimes it just sounds like a regular drum kit. But the way everything's produced, the way everything is composed together, it really shows you that a lot of times less is more. It's all about the writing. It's all about how you compose it, how you tie it all together, and it is just perfect in that regard.
I absolutely love when I'm listening to this. I'm just completely taken to another place. That shows true mastery of your craft, and that's exactly what I want to see out of someone who's been doing something like this for 30 years. I mean, this Michael Gira has been labeled as a post-punk artist. Well, this transcends post-punk on so many levels. I mean, you still hear some of that influence there, but the sound is just so dark. But at the same time, where I felt like My Father Will Guide Me Up a Rope to the Sky, I felt like that album, I mean, that was terrifying. There were moments, like you said, where you just felt anxious and honestly scared. Like this album, it's not like that the entire way through. There's a lot of more moments where it's more subdued, and I mean, I would say that it's creepy. I would say that this album is more creepy than terrifying.
Yeah, true.
And there's definitely times where I just where the songs are really intense and it's just really fun to listen to. And I think one of the main differences for me is that there's a number of places where there's just not vocals on this album.
Yeah, they're sparse.
Right, where the the vocals are definitely not what is the point of this album. They're just, you know, an added instrument. And I like that because I really do feel like you said, less is more. And bands should realize when their vocals are adding value and when they're just adding noise. And Swans definitely accomplishes that on the Seer. I do feel like that the vocals at times weren't as intense as they needed to be. I think that they could have added another dimension to their music at times, at different spots on this album, that where the vocals, if they would have taken it up a notch and had the vocals be more intense, more raw sounding, that you really would have, you know, taken the intensity of the whole track up another level and had more climactic points in there. I wanted to see just a bit more contrast, but other than that, I really don't have a lot to say. This is a very, it's artistic mastery. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not a lot to say. This is an album designed for people who like listening experiences and liked getting creeped the hell out. If you enjoy music, like the thing that comes to mind is like Nine Inch Nails, The Downward Spiral, which you know, our collective favorite album of all time. You know, like there's moments on that album where it's just you just hear the terrifying noise and sounds that you know, it's like demons are coming for your soul to have a barbecue, and the Seer, you know, is capturing that same sort of essence. So if you're not into those dark sounds, this might not be an album. Like I used to, for instance, I used to love like bands like Coldplay, and I liked really happy music, and I still like Coldplay and everything, but over time, I've really just learned to appreciate stuff that's just trying to scare the crap out of me. And you know, this album coming out in the fall, coming up on, you know, on Halloween season.
Yeah,
this is just a perfect album for this time of year. I'm absolutely in love with it. I'm going 86.
I'm going 89.
So upper 80s from us. That means you got to get out there and you got to listen to this Seer. If you guys are into really artistic, really dark, and really long albums, this is something, but really well crafted albums, this is something you should definitely check out. Do so and tell us what you thought at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic, or just hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. We're on there all the time and would love to hear your thoughts. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.